Hello everyone, Mr. Happy here, and in this video I wanted to do a follow-up discussion or thoughts video on Final Fantasy VII Remake. Now, after the gameplay trailer aired, there was a bit of information that was shared that was worrisome to those of us who are fans of the Final Fantasy series. Now, part of this is going to be going over an interview with Tetsuya Nomura and Yoshinori Kitase, where they explain some of the things that are going to be changing about Final Fantasy VII Remake. So, let's get into those. So in the last video, we dissected the gameplay trailer to try and figure out what we could about the ATP gauge and the limit break gauge. In the interview, they discussed those things and said yes, Final Fantasy VII elements such as those things are going to be present, but they also commented on the battle speed, the tempo, and how much action we're going to actually be getting. Now, I'm taking a lot of this quote-unquote out of the interview, which is in the description of the video, so you can always check that out too. Regarding battle speed and tempo, for the sake of a stress-free battle, whatever that means, we want to do something on the level of the City of Final Fantasy. As far as the degree of action goes, it's the City of Final Fantasy, then Kingdom Hearts, then Final Fantasy VII Remake. So it seems like they want to make it more strategical based on other comments in the interview itself, but they still wanted to have a decent battle speed, tempo, and amount of action, so that way it feels exciting to be playing it. That's okay. I still want to know how it feels. I still want to know how it plays. I still want answers to the questions that we didn't have from the last video, but that's all the new information that we generally got about the battle systems. The next thing they commented on is the story, which a lot of people are concerned that they're going to change and make it completely different from the original. Well, they pretty much said that if you played Final Fantasy VII before, you know all the important parts already, from beginning to end. That being said, because they are going to be diving deeper into the story, they want to explain things better or more clearly than in the original. Personally, my opinion, it wouldn't surprise me to see Genesis actually popping up in some of those flashback scenes instead of him just being in Crisis Core and he's in all those scenes but you never actually see him. That always kind of bothered me when they decided to add him as a character into the series. I wouldn't be surprised to see certain other elements that were explained in the future games explained better within Final Fantasy VII as well. But we don't know the exact details. A lot of that's just my opinion on things I'd like to see, such as more information about Deep Ground and Genesis and whatnot in Final Fantasy VII itself. As long as they don't change the core story, I'm perfectly okay with that. And then there was the information that everybody threw their hands up in the air and said, fuck it, when they read this. And the reason was the way it was announced. So most of the press release information that was sent around, there was a little paragraph describing Final Fantasy VII Remake. And in that little tiny paragraph that only very few people would have read and then shared with the rest of the internet, it read that Final Fantasy VII Remake will be told across a multi-part series, with each entry providing its own unique experience. In other words, it sounds like it's going to be episodic, not unlike Telltale games like The Walking Dead or The Wolf Among Us. That's just what it sounds like when they say multi-part series. Now, originally when they said multi-part series, I considered the possibility that maybe they were going to remake the entire compilation and that's what they meant. That was me being very naive. It seems very, very clear that they mean the original game is going to be split into multiple parts. I mean, is it wrong for me to have wished it was maybe the entire compilation? Get that Dirge of Cerberus remake? Vincent's pretty cool. Anyway, with that happening, in the interview, Nomura and Kitase elaborated on it, because when we got that information, it was completely unexplained. Now we have a little bit more background as to why it's going to be a multi-part series. Nomura's reason is that they would have to summarize a lot of the original content and refrain from adding much new content if they did it all in a single release. Kitase adds on to that, saying that this remake of the entire original game, if we wanted to see that in the quality we saw from the gameplay trailer, it just wouldn't be possible to fit in one release. So both of that combined, I hate to say it, but it makes sense from a development standpoint. As from a fan standpoint, I don't like that it has to be done in multiple releases. Like, it doesn't matter how you explain it to me, it just doesn't sit well, you know what I mean? But I get why it's happening. You know, I've been watching the gaming industry change over the years to going from single releases for however many dollars to a release plus a DLC, or having multiple parts in a series that you can stretch out. Like, I've seen it happen over the years. I think it's just pretty simple. Games are more expensive nowadays to make, and for something with the scope of Final Fantasy VII's size, it's going to be pretty demanding on resources on the development side of things. I mean, they even are working with an outside company, CyberConnect 2, to help develop it. I mean, I guess going from the JPEGs for battle backgrounds to this with the fully rendered everything is a pretty big increase in data, so I don't know that it's necessarily feasible that it could fit all in one release. And I know the argument is, why not put it on multiple Blu-ray discs and release it all at once? And I think the answer to that is pretty simple, and it goes back to how much more expensive it is to make a game nowadays. I think they actually want to make money on this game. I don't think it's literally just fan service and that they are still a business, so I get it. It sucks. It sucks that I get it, because it almost tells me that I understand the times are changing, and I really don't want the times to change when it comes to the way that game releases are done. I just don't think it's going to work for a 150 to 200 hour JRPG, and they're adding things too. Like, that's not the thing. It's not just the original story and the original content. It's actually, they're adding things to it. I was impressed they got as much done as they did. I'm just wondering when these episodes, you know, how long these episodes are actually going to be, because that's going to determine how much they're worth to me. If they released like 7 episodes, and yes, I picked 7 on purpose, and they were all like $20 each, maybe I would get it, just so we can get pieces of the game like from start to finish. But that's pretty much the only way I'm going to be okay with it, is if each episode, let's say they do this. Let's say each episode roughly covers each of the 3 discs from the original. Price lower than a standard title, maybe. Like, for example, based on the content they seem to want to provide, which we don't really have all that much information on, $40 per episode seems acceptable to me. Now, I have a feeling it's not going to be that. I have a feeling that each game is going to be $60. And if they somehow make each of those individual games worth that $60 price tag, I'd be pretty fucking impressed, to be honest. Excuse my language. Though the idea of paying, let's say maybe even just $50 each, like $150 to $180 to replay Final Fantasy VII wears me down. And that's if it's in 3 parts that are anywhere from $50 to $60 each. Even 3 parts, $40 each is $120. And then who knows, maybe they do 4 parts for $30 each, or 4 parts for $40 each. We have no idea. This is one of those things that we wish they didn't say, oh, we can't share more information with you at this time, because we need more information at this time so that we don't panic room and all of a sudden just go nuts. I mean, let's be honest, no matter what it costs, for the sake of everyone on YouTube who watches my channel and those who watch my live Twitch broadcasts, I'll be buying them and sharing my experience with you. I don't think I'm going to be able to avoid it at this point. I don't think even if I wanted to somehow boycott it based on price, I still don't think I'd personally be able to hold back. I'm too much of a Final Fantasy nerd. That being said, it is concerning to me that it is going this way. I'm not saying it can't be done, though. I've had to, ever since going from playing Final Fantasy XIV 1.0 to playing A Realm Reborn, I find it's pretty hard for me to be that cynical about the way things come out, because, you know, I've seen at least part of their teams take a game from complete failure or a complete failed concept to, you know, a working concept and a working game. So I try to be on the fence, or at least on the more positive side of things, which is why you'll see me making all these, well, you know, if they do that, it could be okay. It's just deep inside, as a gaming fan, as a Final Fantasy fan, it hurts to hear that it's going to be a multi-part series. But I get it. It makes sense. I hope that they make it work and make it make sense for us, because I still think we're too much in the dark about the information that's available to really make a judgment call on if it's going to work. If all of a sudden they tell me that the first, you know, maybe just Midgar in itself will be an episode and they're going to charge $60 for it, then I'm going to get pretty pissed. Unless that ends up being like a 20-hour experience some way, or 20 to 30-hour experience. And even then, how do you make this? Okay, so even then, talking about the open world and going from point A to B and then fighting the weapons, and how are you going to make all of that? Are levels going to transfer from episode to episode? Are you only going to be able to get to a certain level in episode 1, only a certain level in episode 2? I don't know. I need more information to make a real judgment call, but those are all concerns that I have, or potential concerns that I could have if they decide to go down that route. I hope this doesn't take away from the Final Fantasy VII experience. I still hope we get the open world map. I still hope that we get the story told in a very well-constructed manner. I still hope the combat's good. I hope all of that. But I want more information, and I hope you guys want more information too. I'll be sure to bring it to you as soon as we have it. Anyway, thank you for watching my video regarding Final Fantasy VII Remake. Again, you can check out the entire interview and the post over on Nova Crystallis in the description of the video below. Be sure to share your comments and concerns in the comment section of the YouTube video below. And, well, I'll see you guys next time, and hopefully I'll be bringing you better news about Final Fantasy VII Remake when that time comes. Anyway, thank you for watching, and until next time, take care.